Hello, welcome to the morning live stream where I make my 1-bit Metroidvania thingy. Here it is. So I did a I did a stream the other, I did a stream where I did a complete code walkthrough last week, right? So I realized that I have probably put this, I scheduled this live stream in 12 hours. Wow. It's 9 p.m. Well, that's fine. Can you change it? Does it matter? I mean, it's already live. Stupid. I'm gonna check. I don't know if it matters. Since it's already started. Yeah, it already started. So, who cares? Yeah, I put the scheduling 9 p.m. I don't do an AM PM. I've messed it up so often. Anyways, I did a code walkthrough stream the other a few last week, and since then, gameplay wise, I've added this funny button here. And you have your, I think I showed you how your stupid nose, and you can press the button with your nose and open the door, and then you can walk through. Very interesting. So I'm trying to do like different funny kinds of gameplay like that. And then I still have my funny head that can pop off. You can roll under things. Like that. And of course, a funny thing is, I mean, this is kind of things you have to figure out. Like, for example, the head currently can pop off, and then you could, now it got stuck inside a ground, you know, there's stuff like that. But that's fixable. Also, I think you can just pop off the head, jump through here, and then, I don't know if you can actually push the button. No, you can't with the head. But you can roll through the opening with it, which is funny. Anyways. So today I was thinking I have my to-do. You know, when you have a to-do, you have that's when it starts feeling like a real project. Now, of course, you can have to do for anything, but when it starts containing like things that are not super generic. By the way, I since last time, since that big code walkthrough, like what I've done is in the editor I have like this. Wait, I'm gonna do like this. I can place these tiles and have this little palette here, and I also have some entity spawn mode. You see I can place the button here, and I can place this door thingy, and I have a little switcher down here for that. And this is just some simple homemade EMGUI stuff essentially. So in my editor.odin file here, I have like for example, this thing here, this state selector, is a EMGUI prop that I made, but it's not using like anything fancy, like, you know, sometimes when you say EMGUI, people assume it's their EMGUI, but EMGUI, you know, it's just a technique of making. It just means immediate mode graphical user interface. So this thing is just a simple thing made with Raylib, right? It's like a state selector. It just does some stuff with Raylib. It just draws a background, which is the background behind these things, and then it goes through the different states I pass it, and if I click any of them, then it sets a new state and returns that state. It's pretty. I use like Odin generics for this, so I feed in a list of states, and then it's like generic $T, and then I say which is the current state, and then it returns the new state, which is quite nice because I can just send in like this. I think it's these states is actually a bunch of union, like I think it's pointers or something. Let's see, states. Yeah, it's a list. You see here is tiles and entities, and here is these. I could probably figure out these names from the names of the. I could probably do some kind of funny reflection thing on the union type itself, because edit mode is a union, right? So I could probably do some reflection where I look through these and remove the front part that's the same, and then take this. But yeah, that's not super important. So I've done all that stuff, and this is I've borrowed some of this code from Cat and Onion, really. And yeah, so that we have that, and other than that, one thing I've done that if you watch my streams, you might have seen that my project setup is a bit chaotic. Like I used to have all the Odin files just put next in this folder here, so I actually moved the Odin files because I wanted to like organize my code a bit better. And when everything was in the base root folder here, like usually I don't use this side folder, I just use jump to file, you know. But I was thinking, if I can see all the files and go through them one by one and just check that everything is nice in there, maybe I can make everything a bit more tidy. And so I moved it to a game subfolder, which was almost trivial to change it to. It's just the build hot reload, instead of using build Odin build dot, it was Odin build game. So, you know. And then I also, my Atlas builder had to output into the game folder instead of the root of the repository. Other than that, it's fine. I have not changed it so like I still have my Atlas and my shaders. Where are those? Here, for example. I still have those in the root here, and the XA output here. Because it's kind of annoying with having build folders, I think, because then you must start copying resources into them, and I don't know. I'd rather not if I don't have to. It's just fine. The game is currently, I think the game only currently requires game, Atlas, Raylib, DLL. I don't even think it uses the shader, and then the world. These are the 4 files, I think. But yeah, maybe I'll move it into a build folder someday, but it's just annoying to do. Hello, Matthew. Matthew says that I have recently discovered a play date. Oh, that's the little Game Boy, like it's like a mini console, right? If I think I can find a picture. Yeah, it looks like this. It's a very funny console. It has arrow keys, 2 buttons, and then a little crank. And I've seen people make games that only use the crank. It's very funny. Yeah, since you're saying I do one bit Metroidvania, yeah, maybe it would work. It's the graphic style is more, I don't know. It's more of a artistic restriction. I don't know if I could do all the things I'd want to do on the play date, but yeah, we'll see. It sounds like a fun thing to do. Anyways, so other than that, I just cleaned up in here essentially, and I did editor things and cleaned up, and then I made it so that that button, like I showed, is pressable. The button is currently hard coded, like it's not very good yet. I need some more editor stuff to make it proper. And then the door needs an animation and blah blah blah. But on the topic of what's it called? 1-bit. It's like 1-bit meaning that my game is just a background color plus a foreground color essentially, you know, like this. I was thinking art style wise, what happens when I put something behind myself, then, you know, my character will disappear. There's a couple of different things you could do there. You could either invert the colors, or if there's two overlapping of the same. I'm not sure that it's going to be that much more readable, because if there's the least bit of sort of noisiness in the background, then it will just, your character become a checkerboard. Like if there's like some dithering or something in the background and you invert the colors where it overlaps. Say there's a tree in the background here or something. So another thing I was thinking of trying is to do an outline of the character that let's quickly paint something, just do something random, put it behind here, and then see the problem, and then we'll try to work on it a bit. I think that's a fun sort of, we need to first draw a tiny thing, so that would be a fun sort of, how to call it, little art exploration thing, right? So we have this, and so let me perhaps, I mean, this more looks almost like it's inside a cave. I don't know, but I'm gonna draw a tree or something here. Or maybe a bush. Bush is good. Bush needs to be height 24, width 48. Something like this. And the character then is this high from the ground, like that, roughly. So we do something like this. Maybe even we will use this big brush like this. Better do an outline maybe first. I haven't really figured out this kind of art style. We'll see. Do something like that. No. He's trying to draw a little bushy thing. I was thinking something with like round blobby things like that, and then I was thinking of we shall maybe have this dither brush we can use. We can even what's a good workflow for this? Nope. What is a good workflow? Because there's only 2 colors. Okay, let's I would like to sort of delete inside, like as like an outline, but inside the, like skip 1 pixel and do, because if I delete the, like this is my background color, right? This one. So I'm not sure how to do it properly. So where's the light coming from? That's a good question. Do I have like light coming from a specific direction? Let's just assume I do for now. So we do something like this. That means that over here is like fully lit, right? And here, maybe, and very much here. So I'm thinking top left, light is up here. Like there's a sun or something. Sun or a lamp or whatever. Might not even use this. I'm just making a, I mean, in the long run. I'm gonna use it today, but to do our tests of how to overlap things. And this one is sort of maybe we'll add a bushy sort of. So I'm thinking like it's like round, bushy things. Do like that. See, and I don't know. Maybe I want to go for a super clean, like super simple art style that doesn't use dithering a whole lot, because dithering in these low resolutions can look a bit funny also, because of just the blockiness of it all. Oh, this one is not set up correctly. Something like this maybe. Go in and do some of that. Well, something is misaligned. My dithering has gotten... I started on the wrong setting. Or, yeah. And now some of it is incorrectly aligned and some is correctly aligned. And because... Oh no, this is the wrong setting. But it didn't... I don't know what I'm doing. Sadness. Oh yeah, this looks correct. I don't know why I changed that destination. Okay, is everything wrong now? Yep. If I'm lucky, everything is right. So this one is all wrong. You see, the reason it's wrong is that the checker pattern is sort of in the wrong place, one could say. Something like this maybe. And then of course you with dithering you want to go, you don't want to go, like you need to go gradually between different kinds of like pixeliness, how dense your checkering is essentially. You don't just want full color and then subtle checker and then the other color. Like here I have one color here and then it's checker and then it's this, or like this. I don't want this because you probably want some of these straggler pixels out there. La 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 la. La 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 la. Morning drawing. It's morning here. This is my so-called morning stream. I've named it. Just a nice way to start the day. Do something on stream. Usually on stream it's better to do things that are not too, that are like easy to understand, because so people can watch and stuff like that. Okay, so I have something like that. Okay. That looks like some kind of things. This is just a placeholder. I mean, it's just for testing this whole thing I'm doing. Doesn't need to be perfect. And then the question is, how do I place this thing? Currently, we want to test the art stuff, not the placing of things. So we will go to draw here. I will hard code it in for now. I think. Because I don't have a way to, I need to make a whole entity out of it. Maybe I want some way to place background graphic or something. I don't know. We draw from the atlas with the rectangle is atlas textures dot bush dot rect, and we draw it at maybe 2020. Something like this maybe. There it is. So we push it down. So I just hard coded in here just to have it in the behind the player. That's my idea right now. Oh yeah, it's not indexed. That's why it looked. Ah, fuck. This is problem where I painted with this color, and when I go to indexed, my indexed is just background color and foreground color, and then this all goes like that. Maybe if I cheat a bit and expand so that this color. Oh, I need to edit the palette. I do this, then I think it will work. Indexed. Yeah, that worked. We save that, then we should, or rather we replace index 2 with index 0, save, recompile. And if now this one is at like 100, should, yeah, now it's no longer, it was, the green stuff was actually in the picture, which is not what I wanted. So I wanted it to be a background color and then which is essentially transparent. 94. Okay, so here is, you see, if I do like this is not very good, right? So this is a 1-bit color problem. How do you fix this? You know, you could, like I said before, you could invert all the colors. Also, my character is currently sub-pixel stepping. I don't know if that's what I want, but you see now it's standing a sub-pixel. Like it can stand in between pixels because it's not, you see this line here. Because I'm not too much of a purist with those things, but sometimes it looks bad, especially when you have like chunky pixels on top of each other. But anyways, so I was thinking, let's try adding in a little outline to the player character and see how that works. So we'll need to increase the canvas size a bit. Because I could do the outline in code, but that's actually harder than it sounds. Now the problem is, so my palette is only this color plus the background color. So what do I do about that? I think what I'll do is this. I'll edit the palette, pull in. Oops. What is even going on here? I want to pick this color. So there we go. And then maybe we'll change the background color to can I get the original background color? Apparently not. Like this is the checker pattern that's originally there in Is this a bug? Oh, there we go. But why is this one? Okay. There we go. Just gonna double check something. Clear. Where is the clear background? Ah, it's in. It is clear background. 41, 61, 49. 41, 61, 49. Very good. So what I did here was essentially I made my palette so that it is 2 colors plus a background color. Because then I can, because otherwise I can't see sort of the outline, because I can't paint with transparent, right? That doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. Wait, there is of course, there is a outline tool in Sprite. Press Shift O. Oh, wait. Let's undo all this. Shift O. Yes. I got an outline on both frames. Save that. Here you go. It is, of course, not positioned correctly. And then there's some other problems, but we can figure that out. I mean, this already, like, okay, that's good, I guess. Let's try moving the player a bit. So I have all my player stuff in my player.odin file here. So currently I use the bottom middle for the origin, but now that one is, I think I just need to move the origin of the player up once. Apparently not. Guess that's not how it works. Thought it was. Origin. I haven't really figured out all these. How does it draw? Okay, this procedure draws an entity, and it just uses the atlas to draw. Takes out a rectangle, and then it makes a destination rect. Is it just... where is the player's collider even set up? Oh, I think I know. Because here's something I did, like this procedure is not sort of final, so I put like it's slow, it's just a hack implementation, so I put underscore slow and I put it in normal place, and then later I can maybe search for underscore slow and just whenever I feel like fixing those kind of things. Where is... I'm very confused. Maybe it's actually in here. Yes, it is. Here it sets the... Oh yeah, this is why nothing works, because this one constantly sets the origin to something else. Because depending on which animation you're currently having, origin will shift around and stuff. Does this thing need also to be offset? Is that the problem? Okay, and now another problem is, since the outline sticks outside the player in kinda, like either I make the player... No, because when it stands on the ground, I don't want this outline here to sort of get in the way. So I think some things need to be in front of the player and some behind, maybe. Not sure exactly what the best way is, but just to test it, we can switch the order things are done. So we draw the tiles after the entities. That should switch that around. Oh, okay, good. Good. Other things I've been thinking about, like it doesn't have to be 1-bit. I could have a separate color for the player. That might look fun. Or maybe I'll try doing some kind of outline shader thingy, but that's always a bit more tricky than it sounds, because outlines in 2D are a bit funny with the way that suddenly you're inside a shader, you need to draw in a bigger area than the texture is, and then everything can become a bit hard. Okay. Does it really need this offset? This... Why is it lagging behind the... I think that's just an order, that it's one frame behind, sort of. The debug. The debug of the debug collider thingy here. All of these are actually the same, except this one it doesn't want a collider. So maybe for now I'll do something like this. That. Yep. Yeah, the origin is in slightly the wrong place. I see. That looks alright to me for now. So that's good. Was that actually a... Yeah, I did try painting a bigger thing and see how we can put player in front. I did it! I finished something on the to-do. So next thing is maybe to try to wire up somehow this. Is that what I want to do now? I was thinking of, because this door is currently hard-coded to be opened by this button, and we want some way to sort of wire up things, right? Question is what that means. Like, is it does it mean I just pick it in the editor, or should we have some visual clue that it's connected to the door? I mean, eventually you should, but do you need it right away? No, you don't need it right away, of course, but as you know, maybe there's some kind of cable or something going to the door. The door also needs a little animation. So you could do that. We can also try doing some kind of separate kind of gameplay thing. Not sure. If we just look quickly at this entity stuff, how do I choose that this one should target this one? That's always a good question. Like, you can have some way to pick in the editor, like this one is sort of targets this one. You pick that out. You can do that. I did in my previous game. Then you need to have like some kind of data per entity where you can add in info to how to point things out. I guess I need that in any way because yeah, I will need that. So let's add something. Let's first use an enum. So this one has like a target, and the targets are like this one has the target door 1 or something, and then later we will add, so there's an entity reference instead, but we need to add in the entity data on something, so we need sort of a separate editing mode or something like that, because we can place tiles here, place entities, but then we need to be able to sort of edit the properties of entities, kinda. And that's sort of a separate thing, because it's no longer about choosing something here and placing it. Well, maybe this could be a drag and drop instead. So you click and drag. So you'd never sort of... Nah, that might be annoying. It's better to place them here. Let's make a separate editing mode. So we're in my editor. So we have an entity properties mode. Edit mode entity properties. So we need to add those things, right? We don't have it currently. Hello, yellow cap. Welcome. Entity properties. So these are my different editing modes. I can place tiles, entities, and entity properties. I create this beforehand because, like here, I mean, in the union I could have them not be a pointer, and there my keyboard died. I need to repair my computer. The USB dies sometimes, and then I have to go under my computer and move it to another USB port. Like, no, it jumped to life again. I threatened it enough. So, but usually it doesn't pass. I just need to reconnect it. So you see I have a pointer here. I could have values here like that. The annoying thing with that is when you jump between editing modes, then you will lose your stuff because it has to set the field inside. So instead I set a pointer and it points to one of these. So it sort of stores the state of the editing mode. Right. Okay. This is just an index into this array here of things. Because I have separated the world. Maybe that's what I did since the last time as well. I separated the world and so the game now has there's a world that has entities, tiles, and colliders. And then there's world data. This is what the editor saves. It saves a list of tiles and a list of entities. But the entities is just like positions plus types. Because yeah, you're probably not, you're just saying, I want to spawn this entity at this position, but you're not saying what, like you're not saying the whole entity. And I found that in the long run, this usually makes it simpler because you can let the code be a bit more authoritative, that you can have like a like we can have proc like this, entity create from type, and we just say this is the entity type, this is the position. However, now I will need to add some kind of data in the editor. So we'll see exactly how that plays out. But that's probably a separate little blob on the this world data for the entity. So we'll probably add on something. Probably add on something here. Position entity type. I don't know why it's position entity type. It's more like positioned entity. This is just, it's sort of a, because the entity has lots of things in it, but this is just a type and a position. We might rename that later. We'll see. So there's no longer any, the editor no longer edits the world of the game directly. It just edits these things and then it saves it to disk. It's like world data save, and then it clones the editor state to a world data thingy, which is just this kind of stuff, right? And then it saves it out, and when the game loads it later, then it will be like in world.odin I have like a world from world data. So this is sort of editor data, and then it goes through it and sets everything up based on that. So that's good. Edit mode entity entities. Okay, so we need another of these funny procs. Go to the bottom here. Edit mode, entity properties. Right. So we need to somehow select an entity in the world. Yeah. Steal this code. This is sort of what I need to do that. So I go through all my entities, which is a placed entity type, that way it says pet. Haha. And then it checks the type on it, and then there's an editor entity texture, and this is how it looks in the editor. It's like it might have an animation in the game or something, but here I just have a texture associated with each thing. And then we need to then we get a destination rectangle here, which is where it's placed, plus some stuff. Right. So what I want to do here is this I want to, this was something copied, but I want to do like if m dot selected is I, so the index here, then we say rl.draw rectangle lines, maybe this direct one rl.yellow or something. Okay. Oh yeah, this doesn't work because it's... I have to do stuff like... I have to figure out a better way to do this, but currently I just jump into 2D mode here, so the camera is correct and all that. To figure out a better way to do that. Because I both do like on-screen editor things near, and then I do things in the game, but then I must scissor the stuff in the game out so it doesn't end up in front of things and blah blah blah. So that one I will use later. This should probably mark the player. Yes, now the player is marked. Only because it's at index 0, because it's sort of marked by default. So let's check if rl dot. You need to check two things here. Need to be like if is mouse in rect. So this rectangle is just the view of the editor without the side stuff here. So, and this I can use to... I can just check if my mouse is inside that rect. Then I can do stuff in the world, otherwise I should do stuff in the UI or something. So if my mouse is in this rect and mouse world, which is like this. So this is checks. This is a world rectangle. It's somewhere in the world. So I move my camera. I check if the mouse is inside this destination rectangle in world space, which needs the camera to do the transformation. These two is just check collision point rec and then check collision point rec with a screen to world transform here, and it gets the mouse position for me. So if I press the left mouse button, then m.selected should become I. Also, I can do like this. This one can maybe be magenta. This one can be yellow. That way. I'll go back here. Okay, these are, again, it's rendering at the wrong place because this thing. I mean, nothing in this thing is gonna. I can probably put my camera mode here. See, now I can highlight these and I can click them to select them. We could probably even have like this. If rl.is key down tab or something, then we always draw a white outline. We can do that before these things. This is just so you can hold a key to find stuff, because it's one bit color, right? So it might be a bit hard sometimes to see. Now I can sort of press tab and these sort of pop up. Right, so now I can select them. So when you can select stuff, then you can start doing things in the side panel here for that stuff. So we're gonna look at the button right now. I might need to, this entity thing here, I might need to make it into a handle-based array at some point, because the indices might move if I delete things, but it's not hard to change that. I can change that later. Okay, like, you know, I can zoom this thing. This is the editor. I can do that. Okay, so I click this thing. Positioned entity type. Because there is, for example, I have a button.odin here where I have a button data. This one needs to have a target that is an entity handle, and this is we shall see what we do. In Cat and Onion, I had whenever I created an entity, I gave them like unique IDs, and in the editor I could then mark different things, and then when it loaded the stuff, it resolved those unique IDs. So that if it was something like this, right? Well, in the gameplay it would be a entity handle, but then there was also a sort of a, in the editor data there was like a target ID. That way you can work with just IDs in your editor, but in your gameplay, of course, you want the handles, which are just indices into your entity struct and stuff. Question is what I want to do here. Do I want this whole thing to be in the editor. This whole struct, it's a bit, it might contain stuff that's not very relevant to editor things. Like over time. Over time I might add stuff in there. I could have a separate sort of entity. Let's just do a separate one. So there's like a, what's this one called? Button data. So I was thinking if there was something like this. Like that maybe. And this one then was sort of like a, and then there is maybe I should use some kind of generic data for the editor where it's just a map that maps from one thing to another, and then I resolve that when I load the world. I resolve what that actually means. So in the editor it just edits data. It's like this is an entity reference, but it just essentially maps things. Like it's just essentially a map from something to something, like essentially like this, blah, some type to some type. I think this is probably in some ways better because you get so many types here. So instead you can do like a dynamic system, which is good in the editor. Like you can just sort of describe your data. I'm not really sure what that means yet. But it's a bit more work right now. It would be interesting to do, because then I could, when I create a button, like when it makes the world from the world data, then it could look at that data and be like, okay, what are my sort of settings for this object? Or something like that. Where am I? Entity here. No, not at all. Here. But let me just say that I do this, and then so I want to, from this one, target this one. I don't have any form of IDs yet, so I was thinking of doing it using an enum for now, just to get something first on the screen. Like currently it's hard coded that this button targets this one. I wanted to, yeah. So maybe we can just do this. sort of like a key value store for instance data. What does that mean though? I don't know, let's just run with it. Let's just do something stupid like this, as a map of string to string. The annoying thing is, of course, this will allocate memory inside here, which is not very fun on each. Like, it's a separate allocation. Like, this is just editor data, so it's not that important, but and then, of course, inside the editor, I have a list of these guys. Okay, let's just leak memory, and I'll worry about that later, and we shall see. So we have a map from string to string on each thing now. What is that supposed to do? I was thinking if I could like map like an enum and just put some data into there. Is that even a good idea? It sounds very unexplicit. Like if you have a problem with your data, yeah, it's very unexplicit. Like it's very. Okay, what are other alternatives? So what I need is some data on each entity, like the button here, to point out to a certain door. That's what I need. And when a position entity is currently is a type, a position, and then some data. And I need to make this in a way that doesn't, like I've done this in different ways before, and each time it's always in the end become almost a big hassle. Okay, fuck it. Let's just do like this now. What's the name here? Doing these kind of things is a lot of upfront work, because it's like you need to be able to choose, and like I need to be able to pick this enum name on the door and on here. But for now I'm just gonna store the entity type and just. That doesn't really do anything though, does it? Do I need to go full? Do I need to go and implement the IDs right away? I mean, that's what I want, right? That's what I need. I need this one to point out this one. I mean, I guess I could also. The IDs could just be indices into the entity array. And then I promise that an entity never moves. which means because before in Cat and Onion I generated IDs sort of before, like I made sure to things just had an ID, and but I think I could maybe just use the index instead. Although that will make it so that it is sort of like a, if I'm off by one sort of situation where the index, or ID shifts just by one, then everything in your game will point to the wrong thing. But I can probably avoid that. Okay, let's just do like this for now. We'll give each one a name. And then I just need to do something here to get this sort of stuff up and running. So we give each one a name, and then we for currently this like an instant data button. What more do we have? We have the door here. We can add a door one. I don't think it will contain anything for now, but you know. That. And then the instance data will be one of these. Right. Let's do that. So let's make it first so that we can edit a name. When we click on each entity, we can edit a name of it. We might not keep that, but I will need a input for names eventually anyways. Do I have it in here maybe? Nope. Okay, then we have to go to Cat and Onion source, editor UI controls, text box. And this stuff does a lot of funny things. No, not text box, but text, what is called a string field. Here you go. This lets you edit the string field, and this is quite some stuff in here. So we'll copy that one, and then we'll adapt it to our needs. I accidentally closed the... So I put it at the bottom here, or maybe here. Yeah. So this one takes a rectangle, and then it takes an initial string, and then it takes a label. Label is just what's printed in front of it. So this is for making a text box for the name of the entity. So we just go by names for now. We like just map the door. The button should target the door. This, I just need to change some, I have changed some things here. And then we also need to simplify this code a bit, because I have changed how I do my active state in my EMGUI to be a bit simpler. We have editor text, so I'm just going over this and replacing some constants here. So what this does is it draws a rectangle, and then it says where should the text be, and then it makes a UI ID. I recently, so when you make EMGUI stuff, right? Usually you need, well, if you have a UI where you click with the left mouse button, and then you either you make it so that the thing gets selected immediately when the mouse goes down, or when your mouse goes up, right? And until recently, in my old UI, I had all this stuff with hover and click states, and it correctly checked does the like in this case, like does the mouse, if you go outside and go back in again and release, then it still clicks properly. And this is, some people say that, oh, it's because so you can hold down on this and then move outside and release, and so that it doesn't do the action. It only does it if you click down and let go. It was like a Twitter thread by John Carmack, on the old id Software guy. He said it's actually better to do everything on press. Like this, like the UI feels so much more snappy if you do everything on press. That's gonna outweigh the benefit of being able to cancel things by moving out like that. Which is maybe it's fine. And I mean, for touch interfaces, it will work differently, because with touch, you need to be able to sort of press down and then drag to scroll, or you click on a thing to touch. Is a bit weird, right? But it's a completely separate way of interacting. I won't support touch with this stuff. But down here, for example, these ones are now click on press. They get activated immediately, and it's so much now. Like I could feel it immediately when I changed it, and the code is so much simpler. So I show here, like this one here. This is because of the clicking. It needs to set the hover, so it hovers during the next frame. I don't even have a hover state now. Don't need it, because I can just check. How do I check that? If mouse in rect. What's R here? Right. Mouse in rect R. So I just change like this. Then we just draw the hover overlay. Clicked. Doesn't exist anymore. It's more of if you're inside the thing, and if rl.is mouse pressed dot left, then we can say all this stuff. So this essentially sets the active UI item and makes a string builder, because we're going to edit text, right? So editing text is a bit annoying, because you need some persistent state. Right. And then we have all this stuff. This is if it is active, and then there is some errors here. That's because my UI is well, it doesn't exist really right now, but I will fix that. Huh. Editor colors, and this guy. Editor color control text. So what this thing does is just if it's active, then it draws, then it checks for the buttons that are pressed, and then it writes them into the string builder and blah blah blah. It also supports backspace, which makes it remove the last item or something like that. Wait, is this the? Am I adding the wrong string field? Because it's the old one I had supported like proper backspace multi-line string field. Maybe this is the one. Yeah, this one is advanced. This one is like this one has a caret you can move around, and it removes at the caret correctly when you press delete, and does all kinds of funny stuff. You can go home, and you see it does all these things that you assume from a text field. Let's still do this one first because it's simpler, and then I can port over those caret stuff. Editor text size, control color, editor color text, and then editor, wait, control border. Do I have that? Yes. Right, now we just need to make all these ugly errors go away. So this is called editor UI string field. This is editor UI property label. And now all the remaining errors are just the UI things, and editor font. The reason there is all the UI errors is because I haven't really ported in any UI into this game, because since I didn't use since I did a click on press, all that state with you know, which are you hovering, and then I can show how the UI in cat and onion, the editor UI, I mean, here. This one does like, it has all this state, blah, and then it does like, if the mouse button goes down, then and there's you hover something, then it says which finger hovered when it went down, and when it goes up, if you're still hovering the same thing, then it says you clicked it. When you do act on press, you just check, am I inside a rect? Okay, I pressed it, done. There could maybe be something where you have a thing inside a thing and you want to click the inner thing or the outer thing, then you might need some delay that a bit. But yeah. So this is the UI from there. How does it look in my little adventure game? Because that one also had an editor UI, I think. Huh. Yeah, this one is slightly more recent. So we'll take this code from my old game. I'm gonna close all these tabs, paste it in here. Then we will go into game and we'll say editor UI.loading. So now we have a lot of stuff to remove here essentially. So we copy this code in, right? But I'm not so sure we're gonna need most of this. UI ID. So first off, this thing should be called, because I moved to using the proper Odin naming convention here. UI ID is a distinct U64. That's the so this here is you when you come to this string field, it gets the next UI ID, which is here. I don't use like my other controls, since they don't need a hover state, they don't need a UI ID. It's only when you need to have it active that you need that now. I'm trying to figure out if there's a better way to do that, but I don't think so. So, yeah. Active buffer. What does active data do? Huh? I'm just going to delete a lot of things now. Okay, here are the things we don't need. We don't need the hover state anymore. We don't need hover and overlay. We need active. We need ID counter. We don't need hover, hover and overlay. Mouse down, hover, click, no. Previous active, maybe. What does previous active do? I don't think we need that either. This one we can do another time. Caret we maybe need later, but that's fine for now. Disable scope. Let's just delete all this. This is like the editor UI ID. This is the editor UI. So this data here, it can be used to store the current string. It's like a buffer you can use for whatever your control needs, right? So we can do something like that. But I'm thinking that what we can do here is just to associate an ID with which one is currently active. And if active is not active ID, then we delete the stuff in there. Yeah, let's try that. Next ID we need. Hello, this is the second channel. Funny name. So we have an ID counter. This is just this is just distinct. This is as distinct UI64. So just plus all the time. That we don't need. Set hover we don't need. UI reset. Delete this. So I'm just making a simplified version of this for this game now, and we'll see. We'll add to it over time. Hover in overlay. No, thank you. Hover. No, thank you. Delete this. Next hover, blah, blah, blah. Don't need any of this. Don't need this. This one is Here's what this one is gonna do, I think. Wait, did I delete too much? No. This one is gonna be like, okay. So if what's happening? If the active one is 0, like that, but we have a date ID that is not 0, then we delete the active data and 0 it out. Just clear it actually. If len UI.active data is bigger than 0, well, in that case we don't need this. We can just check if there's anything in the... I'm struggling a bit here with this long editor UI name. I'm like, oh. Wait, let's just do this. Private equals file. This one will not be useful outside of here anyways. And then we say something like data. What is data? Okay. There will be some problems here with... We shall see how we solve it. We might need to have some kind of previous active, because with immediate mode UIs you need to sort of... You deselect something, and then when it's being deselected, like something else gets selected, and then the active changes, but the thing that was active previously needs to know that, so that you can sort of commit its changes to where whatever thing. I'll do something like this for now. Yeah, we'll delete this one instead, I think. Let's see here. Well, we don't really need to actually. We can just clear it here. Clear. Okay. So that's my new UI code. So we say editor UI next ID. So we get an ID for it. Then we say editor UI.active is ID when you click it. Right, and then it doesn't need to do. Right, then it needs to do something like this. It needs to make a string builder with the active buffer, active data. Then it needs to write the whole thing into there. That's all it needs to do. Like before I was sort of creating a string, like new arrays here, but now I'll just constantly use the same one, I think. Let's see how that goes. Editor UI active, if the, let's put this over here. If the active is ID, so this is when it is selected, then we do this stuff. We make the string builder. What's this? Why does it? Why does this one set the b.buff? This looks wrong. When it is done, we press enter. Then it says changed, and then it clones the string on the temp allocator and returns it. I don't know if it needs to do it. Maybe it can return the string inside the UI thingy as long as we keep it around for at least one frame. We'll see. And then we have this previous active stuff. We can implement that later. We can try pressing enter first. Active data, it's called. This is the second channel asks, I saw micro UI is one of the Raylib vendors. Does that mean I can use micro UI components in my Raylib game? Ah, Odin vendors. Yeah. Raylib vendors. Let me look at that. Okay, so this is. If I'm not wrong, let me just check something. I had this memory that someone did maybe a Raylib micro UI. Well, what does this thing actually do? Okay, let's see if I can find. here is someone, I posted a link. There is someone, if you go to the Odin Discord and you search, like in all channels for Raylib Micro UI, you will find stuff, but I posted a link to a demo file there that someone made. It's actually a official example, or it's in the Odin Lag example repository. I'm gonna check something here. String field. So you type something. I don't know why. Let's just do like this maybe. Alright, now it's doing some complaining in here. We delete that stuff. Alright, this thing is not required because we just check if there is something in the active data and we're not active anymore, then we clear the active data. Good. Now we need to go to here. We need to run editor UI reset, whatever it's called, because each frame this ID counter needs to be reset, right? So we'll now try to run stuff, and for some reason I'm in full screen. I mean, this won't do anything yet. We can click this and then we can go to like editor, properties, and maybe now so here I can add my code for drawing the properties and stuff on the side panel here, which will be something like that. And then on the selected entity we have instance data. So we want to fetch the instance data, right? We want to fetch this thing. for a specific right, we need to do something like this, I think. Switch on e.type. We have one case for each type. Maybe. We'll see if this is the right way to do it. Non-play blah 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 blah. So D is then entity in let's just put it. Wait. The name is not. I'm stupid. The name is not. The name is just here, right? So I just need to do something like this. GUI editor UI string field. So we need to cut rect top of R. Do I have an R in here? R is the sidebar rect. We cut the top of that one by like 30. I don't know. I need some kind of property height. Do I have something like that? 20 it says here. Let's just say editor property height is 20. I think 20 is too small. I'll probably make a procedure that just gives me the next line, but we can do that for now. Famous word for me. So that's a rectangle for the where we want to put the name. And then we say initial string is e.name. Label is name. Okay, and then we say if it changed, then we say e.name is strings.clone res. I think that's the correct way to do it. Right. See what it does. So see, there's a name field here. Wow, that's just. Of course, if I type in it, currently it disappears. Hello, Sasha. So you see the letter appears for one frame and then disappears, but that's. We'll figure that out. So, as long as it is active, it uses strings.toString. And that just returns the whole buffer. This string writes a character into the buffer. But it almost seems like it gets reset all the time. Oh, I see the problem here. Because it does this all the time, right? If it's not yet active and we click it, that's not the issue either. Interesting. Why would active data get reset all the time? Like if we just for funsies delete that, is that the problem? No. Okay. Oh, I know what's wrong. Yeah, there was a line here before. Because this builder might reallocate active data, but then since this is not a pointer to a dynamic array. It's a so always need to do like this: editor.activeData equals b.buff. Oi, I'm a bit tired. I ran half a marathon yesterday, so I'm like, my body's still like, ah. Now it will work. I promise. You see, I can delete, I can type, and I can delete. Very nice. So now I can go back here and we can re-add this stuff here. Well, okay, this we can do later. I will just make sure we can actually commit the text button, which of course didn't work. Oh. Hi. Okay, now it's very sad. Hi. Right. Right, this stuff here is what draws it when it's not active. Let's uncomment that one. So if it's not active, then it should. Boo boo. Yeah. Wow. It's doing pretty random things. Then it crashed. Wow. these kind of things. You'll get it right eventually, but it just can just be a bit of strings juggling. Then when I clicked it, this is gonna crash again, ain't it? Yeah. Oh yeah, it's doing very random things. Oh, oh. Highway to the crash. Okay, I know what's wrong, I think. No? This one doesn't even clear it. Da. Oops. Builder reset. That clears the buffer. Active data. What is supposed to happen here? When you click it, then it just uses the active data and it writes a string. I mean, it probably needs to clear it first, right? And let's do something like this. Maybe something like this. Not sure. We'll need a previous active with an editor you active data previous active data. So this is just because so things sort of can get a 1 frame delayed. So you just do like this. It's just a slice of bytes. Or you can just rather you can just take the whole thing. It doesn't really matter. Here. Then you say editor UI dot previous active data is editor UI dot active data. Then you also say that the ID is the active one. And then we need a clone of it, don't you? Yes. Okay. Slice.clone. So we clone all the active data because we need it to stay around for a while. Actually, we don't need to clone it. Just do like this instead. I just copy it over and then I reset this one. Actually, here we can do something like we just clean up the data here. So if there was anything in there, then we now just delete it. Maybe that will work. Who knows? Because then at this point, this is if you click between two text boxes, right? Then you want it so that the data for the old one is still around for a while. So then down here we can be like, if previous active data ID is this, then we I don't just need to do this. Can you do this? I don't remember. I think so, because it's just take a slice of all the bytes, say, tell it this is a string. I think that might work. Like that. So why does it reset when I click it again? Let's try some stuff. Let's make two names. Let's go back to the editor. So we can jump between them. This is just me, this is a test. Just cut this out. 5, 5, this is just so they get their own lines. The editor. Got sad from that. Right. Moved a bit there, everything is a bit. Huh. Okay. So the weird thing is that it is Okay, that's just because I don't set the active data back. The buffer, because the buff, this thing can make it grow, but they're not the same string really. I can't write at all. Now I can't write at all. Juggling around text buffers and stuff. This is some of the more tricky editor things to do. Why doesn't it do anything now? Okay, what do I do here? I take the active data, and then my initial string is what it says in there. Initially. Like. What does this contain? I've seen this happen before. So there's a lot of null characters in the, you see here? There's null characters in here. So really, there is stuff being added. I was guessing this was the case. But Rayleigh uses C strings, so it only gets to the first null terminator and then stops. I fixed this in Cat and Onion editor somehow. I think. Yeah, I think it's actually better to replace the whole active buffer since I empty it anyways. So let's just do that maybe. So we make a totally empty builder. Then we write. It's just a problematic thing when there's a C Odin string with a null terminator somewhere in it. I don't know if it's maybe it's a bug. Like, no, it's not a bug in the in the string stuff really, but it's a bit weird because it can be in the middle of an Odin string and then your C string is broken. Like this, right? So now we make a builder. We write our initial string into it. So just do stuff like that. I think this will work better. Well. What is builder? What does it crash on startup now? It's sad about something. Oh. need to make that thing stay on screen. What does it say? Fail loading world. Invalid data. Ah, I trashed my world data. I see. How? Must be something in the entities that I know what's wrong. Ta-da. Nice. I mean, it's probably leaking out of memory. Yeah, there you go. Let's... Do I just need to be like... Let me just try this. Just hack this in here like that. And then... I think this will fix most of it. Oh, there's lots of null characters in the name again. That's strange. Oh, I know what's going on. It is during, if you go to world data here, it loads the world data, but strings are a bit annoying because I load the whole file and I marshal it using, I would assume, editor, use the temp allocator, right? Then there will be lots of strings inside this world data. The names, they are, so there are a few different ways to handle this stuff. You could use a memory arena for your world data, which is maybe the best way to do it, because then you can just have all the memory together on there. But you can just quickly fix it also by doing for e in es.entities. Then you say e.name equals strings.clone e.name, because the stuff that's on the temp allocator is still valid here, right? I allocate the temp allocator here is valid for 1 frame. And these are just test things. Doesn't matter. What's in there? Wait, world. Oh yeah, so now it has. Funny how it was able to push those letters down. Oh, there's a new line in it and everything. Fun. I can't win over this guy too. It saves every time I reset the game. So it saves out the bad data again. It's funny, we were supposed to do some kind of hook up button stuffs. Hello? Ha! Oh, that doesn't work properly. That doesn't work properly. It clones the string here using the temp allocator, sets it in res, returns it. Right. So I was thinking then that click this thing. Okay, it's the when you click this thing doesn't work properly, I think. Active data. It's just supposed to, like, if there was one active the previous frame, then we clone that string on the temp allocator and return it. Let me just debug print that. Oh, I see the problem. I'm not killing this one. I know it works. Let's see. Looking on the memory. Leaks memory. I think I know what the... Yeah, of course I clone strings here, but... yeah, I need to run around and clean that up. Essentially. But I think maybe I'll just use some kind of memory arena for the whole level, and can use that one to sort of allocate strings and work in the editor and all that. And then when it's done, you can use deallocate the whole arena. Because they all go together. Oh well. I think we didn't get very far with this, but I think that's that for today, for my morning stream. Essentially, what I want here is, I'm gonna remove name 2, but I can give things a name, and then on the button I can also add a target, and then I write the name of this one, and then I target it. I might not keep it with names because it sucks to use names for these kind of things, I think, because it's just looking at the name of one thing, going to another, writing the name. It's not very good. you could add, you can add IDs instead. So each entity has an ID and you can target an entity. So you kind of like, I did in a cat nonny, so I could click on ID field and drag and then highlight a thing and release, and then it grabbed the ID of that one. It adds a lot of annoying stuff though. Like, you must have an ID on each thing and need to resolve those. But if you have like a name string, then you still need to resolve the ID somehow. Like you need to resolve the name. Like, oh, this button targets something. Right. I'm gonna think of it a bit. Maybe names aren't so bad as long as you, like if I can just say, if I can just give this button a name and then here I can just type the name and it sort of maybe auto-completes it or something on the target that doesn't exist here. Maybe I could just type the name and then it sort of shows me which exists, because the problem is when you, and then maybe you can hold a button to see the name of things on the screen. Question is that better than just having IDs on everything? I haven't really decided yet. I don't know. But yeah, the text box stuff we'll need anyways. I'll see if I can port over I had a more fancy text box with a caret, but I just wanted to play around a bit with this to see how I can make the active state and all that working with my new UI stuff. But it is, you know, sometimes it feels like you don't get much done, but it's so just many small steps, and eventually you end up with a lot of stuff. Okay, anyways, thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Bye bye. Where is OLS? Help.